So today's Friday, right? And I've been searching for the load for the past couple of days in earnest, and drop off the car in the morning because the guy said he was not sure when they can get to it, but he says during the day they will find a few minutes to hook up those defowlers or spacers for the oxygen sensors. And so I dropped off the car and then walked to Starbucks, started looking for a load online, and exchanged a bunch of emails with guys, and then I found one. Actually, I talked to them 2 days before, but they just didn't want to pay because it's not going far, but it's, you know, the rule is if it's less than 500 miles, you gotta charge a return trip. Like, why are you charging us so much? It's only, you know, only 260 miles, right? Like, okay, you have a load out of there, you know, that means chances are I'll have to come back home empty. So it's already not 260, it's 520 miles. So anyway, finally I was asking them for this price. They were here, and then they said, okay, can you meet us in the middle? I said, no. And they said, well, we're already losing money on this. Can you at least take 200 bucks off? I said, okay. And we shook on that. And so now Monday I'm loading one of those ugly farm machines with tracks. So it's 12 feet wide, 12 feet tall, and super big grousers on tracks, right? And before buying 4x4 timbers again, and now it's pretty expensive. Like last time I spent about 200 Canadian. It's like to buy enough 4x4, so I put them like this, you know, and that's not a very good solution, because what happens is that they raise this machine and it's so wide, and then even if you use outriggers, they're no use because the machine, the tracks are in the air, you know. So it's much better to use something different, which is exactly what I did, because as my car was there at this shop, I know they always have tires, right? I said, do you guys have discarded car tires? I said, I need about 20, I think, because the tire is the perfect size, like this, you know. You put them on your each half of the deck, and that's perfect, you know. It gives you the grip, and I'm pretty sure you can. I would still be able to use my outrigger boards, because tires, of course, they're not that tall, right? Not like a 3 or 4 inches like a 4x4. And the guy says, well, normally I get $1 per tire from the buyer, but he says if you only need 20, I'll give them to you for free. Okay. So I asked him what's the schedule is for the weekend. I said, are they like somewhere in a lockup, or can I get to them? And he showed me where the tires are. So basically tomorrow, Saturday, I'm gonna bring my truck and trailer, because of course I cannot put 20 tires in my car. And I'll just load them up on the trailer, tie them down somehow. And now I feel pretty confident that I'll be able to load that. And so yeah, that load is booked. So I'm loading Monday in Ontario and just going across the border into Michigan. And then another guy calls me because he saw me looking at his load. He has a load in Baltimore, but Baltimore, Maryland is about 650 miles away from the place where I'm delivering in Michigan. But I cannot do loads inside US anyway. So I said, I'll do it. He said, can you do it for this price? Because I see that you're coming from pretty far. And I said, can you add a couple of bucks for fuel? He says, no, we pretty much maxed out at this price. And that price was still pretty good. I said, okay, I'll do it for that price. But I said that this is the situation. I'll be empty probably Tuesday, maybe Monday, but let's say Tuesday in Michigan. I said, I need more than 1 day to get to Baltimore. So I said, chances are it would be perfect if I could load Thursday, next Thursday. And what it is, it's a small excavator, you know. I love those. It's like 62,000 pounds, you know, 11 feet wide, 10 feet tall, you know, like a baby excavator, but still 62,000. And so they sent me the paperwork. They agreed with the customer that Thursday was fine. And so I did the carrier setup. You know, they send you a bunch of paperwork you have to fill out to become an approved carrier. And man, these guys are strict. And now I have to download some tracking app that they require. So because once I'm under this load, they want the tracking app to be running on my phone. Like more and more brokers are doing this. Because he says quite often they're dealing with some unscrupulous carriers, and they broker and double broker, you know, like they take this load, for example, and then they double broker it to somebody else for less money, and then nobody knows where the load is. And and we're dealing with machinery here, right? Construction and farm machinery, it's pretty expensive. And then when they send me finally, they send me the rate confirmation. And on the rate confirmation, it says, must call the broker this number to receive final dispatch. And I'm losing it, because, you know, there was so many things like that where it's so strict. Basically, it's like I called the guy, I said, okay, this is Sergei. You guys asked me to call you, and I said, I just want to give you some feedback. I have a feeling like you guys are operating in a totally hostile territory, you know, occupied by foreign powers, and everybody is a criminal. I said, why everything is so strict? You know, it's like step to the left, step to the right, we'll shoot you. Oh, and on the rate con it says, if the driver fails to call the dispatch for the dispatch sheet, this is the penalty. And if the driver fails to install the tracking app, the penalty will be up to $300 off the rate. If the driver fails to call the dispatch daily, the penalty will be at the broker's discretion. I'm telling you, I was losing it. Like I said, you know, I was thinking, you know what, maybe I should just, before signing that rate confirmation, just tell them, guys, I'm sorry, but this is just crazy. But you know, I need that load because it would tie up nicely with this, right? So I'm going to Michigan, then I'm just driving empty, whistling, enjoying life, going to Baltimore, where I've been a million of times before. I know that port like the back of my hand. Pick up a brand new, shiny, small excavator just for a change. And so I called the guy, and I just gave him a piece of my mind. I said, you know, it shouldn't be this strict. I said, why you, like, what kind of carriers are you working with that you have to put these safeguards into place, you know? Like, and I worked with them before, by the way, but I had to redo everything because last time I worked with them, it was like 2 years ago or something. And he says 2 years ago, they revamped the entire carrier approval process. So now it's just nuts. You have to fill out so much information there, you know, like your DOT number, MC number, it's okay, but then this and that. So it was difficult, but I know they're okay. They have good credit rating, right? So I know I'll be able to factor this. And so I call the guy. He says, okay, I'm sending you the final dispatch sheet with, you know, with the bill of lading and the machine serial number. And I told him, I said, okay, is it okay if I email instead of calling to check in daily? Like, I hate calling. And the guy says, yeah, that's fine. I said, okay. I said, I'm gonna activate the tracking app, the spying app, on Tuesday. Okay, you okay with that? Because I said, until Tuesday, I'll be under the different load. I don't want you to be tracking me where it's non-related. The guy says, okay. All right, so now I'll have to they told me, they sent me a sheet of instructions, where to find this app, how to activate it. And of course, once it's installed, the tracking will be on all the time, so they can see, you know, you go to the bathroom, they can see where you are. I hate that, but I know Landstar does it, Trinity Logistics does it, now these guys are doing it. But I booked 2 loads in one day. So next week is going to be busy, and maybe I'll have money for a tuner. I don't know. But about the car, So I picked up the car. They showed me how they installed those spacers, and because I gave them different shapes, they found the ones that work because the two positions are different there. I think they used the 90-degree spacer and then a 45-degree spacer that I gave them. And those are like very quality, you know, very well made. But the guy looked upset, you know, when he showed me the car from underneath. I said, everything looks perfect. Like, what's up? He says, well, something is, I'll show you in a second. And then when we're done in the front of the car, underneath, like it's on the hoist, he takes me back and he says, I found this. And he shows me the what it's called, the sock. No, wait, not the sock, the boot. The boot on the half axle, right? Because my car is rear wheel drive, so there's axles in there, like half axles. And where that half axle is connected to the differential, there's a rubber boot, you know, that's what they call it, right? And turns out I was right. Before, I remember I was complaining that active valve exhaust was like this away from that. That's what it was close to. It was close to this boot, to the foundation of the boot. But the guy said it shouldn't touch it. And then, you know, I went back last week and I said, guys, I still don't feel good about this. I wanted to give me at least like this much space, you know, not like this. That just, and so they moved it last time, right? But now he was looking at it closely and he noticed that the grease that's used inside that boot has a very interesting color. I forgot, it was like either purple or yellow, but you know, it's like very specific color. And he saw spots of that on the active exhaust. And he says the only place this could have come from is inside the sock. And he touched that sock, boot. He touched that boot, and where it's supposed to be like this on the axle, and then there's a clamp in here, it was just open, you know. Basically what happened is that he said sometimes this boot increases in size, and so because the gap was so small, that thing acted like a can opener, right? And so the axle spins like this at like 1,000, you know, revs, you know, a minute, I don't know. And that thing was so close that it just acted as a can opener, like I said. And so now the guy says, you need a new boot. And I said, okay, like, is it difficult to find? He says, yeah, I tried calling the dealer, but of course, he says, usually the dealer, when you need a new boot, they try to sell you the entire half axle assembly, which is like $500. But he says, you have a new car, so you don't need that. And so we started looking around. He was looking at his supply, you know, on his supplier's website, and he gave me the car. The car is done, and he cleared the code. So for now, there's no check engine light, but we'll see what happens. If the problem is still there, it can come back like 2 days later. Unfortunately, we don't have AutoZone here. AutoZone is a great resource for stuff like this in the States, right? But here we have something called, I think we have Advanced Parts, and then I forget the name of it. Some you know, car parts store. But we have them in many towns, and so it's right here on Main Street in Cambridge on Hespeler Road. And so this guy, the shop guy, gave me a description. He says this is what it's called, and he says I measured it. He says it should be this much diameter on one side, because it's like this, right? He says over here it's like 4 1/4 inch, over here it's like 1 1/4, and the length is, I think he said 4 1/4 of an inch. It's basically, you need like a universal boot. And I go to this place, to this pot store, and I thought the guy would kick me out, you know, laughing in my face, but he says, hold on, let me check, we might have something. So he disappears and comes back after like 5 minutes with I think he brought two boots. But one was black and looked pretty much exactly like what I saw under my car, and the other one was pink, and the smaller size were like this big, the opening, so it's definitely for a much bigger axle, you know. And this one I measured, everything looked pretty good except it was longer, but you know, it's like it has folds, so it can be made shorter. And so I called the shop and I said, here's what I found. I said, it looks pretty similar except it's long. He says, don't worry about the length, we can compress it. And so I paid, I think it was like 45 bucks Canadian. And the guy says, yeah, if it doesn't fit, you know, if you don't damage it, you know, if you just try to look, and he said, if it doesn't fit, you can bring it back, we'll give you the money back. Okay, and so I took it to the shop and the guy looked at it, and there was instructions, and it's like a whole kit. It's not just that boot, but it also had the straps or the clamps, and it had the grease in the bag, you know. It's pretty cool. And it says universal axle boot. And the guys looked at it, the mechanics, and they said, yeah, it should work. But of course they're too busy, so they said, can you, I mentioned that I'm leaving Monday into US with the load. He says, can you leave me your car Monday? I said, okay, no problem. And so I think I'll park it there maybe Sunday, just bring it over or something, and maybe Monday morning, I don't know. But Monday I have to be 30 miles away from my yard to load. But and one thing I noticed, that the car, because now there's no check engine light, and so now sensors are okay, but it looks like the car is not as crazy as before. Like before, it was like a race car. It was so fast, you know. It was, now it's less loud, and it calmed down a little bit. I think those oxygen sensors, you know, they really, maybe that's why the car was complaining, probably saying that my air fuel ratio was too rich. I think it was because I noticed, like, I started losing gas pretty fast, you know. I filled up the entire tank, or like last week sometime, and I didn't do that many miles or kilometers, and I see my, you know, consumption just became very bad, you know. But the car was pulling like nuts, you know. So now it calmed down a little bit, I think, because now oxygen sensors are working properly, I'm guessing. But I liked it better when the car was fast, you know. So I don't know, if I have some extra money, I might buy that the PCM and the tuner, because I need unlocked PCM, and just tune it up, you know. Tune it up because you get like 25-30 horsepower extra. It can be tuned for like 91 or 93, 94 gas. I do have 94 here. Actually, and I know in the States they have 93 across the border. And so, but if I tune it for 94, it's not gonna work. So I have to tune it either for 91 or 93, because that's what, most often I get 91 now, because 94 is too expensive. But when the prices were more reasonable, I would get 94. I just know that my car drives better on that. So anyway, that's what's going on. And the last thing is, because now for this load, I'm going into Michigan. I don't want to be dragging the Jeep and the booster. And right now I have a long neck down, because remember my last load was the demolition excavator, right? So my long neck is down and I have the booster on the deck. And in the back, I only have 3 axles. And so I called the wrecker company, and I said, this time it's probably gonna be like hour and a half. So I don't know what you're gonna charge me, probably again 2 hours, like 500 bucks. But what I need to do minimum is I need to take off the booster, put it on the ground. I need to hook up axle number 4 that now sits in the dirt. Hook it up to create a quad, because Michigan gives you up to 23,000 per axle. They don't care about boosters, right? So, and I need to either flip that 84-inch neck extension and leave it there, or maybe flip and take it off and put the 36-inch one, because this machine that I'm loading Monday, it's pretty heavy. It's 84, probably 84,000 pounds, you know. So but again, Michigan allows you 23 per axle. So I just ordered the permit for Michigan, and I asked for 66,000 pounds on the last 3 axles of the truck, and 20 on the front, and I think I asked for 74,000 on the quad. So that's as if the machine weighs 95,000 pounds, which it never will weigh that much, you know. But so I don't know, I'll have to decide what I want to do tomorrow, because the easiest way will be just to fold that flip box and leave it on the top. But there will be a potential danger of overloading the truck, because the truck is closed now. I only have 101-inch swing radius, right? Or, since these guys will probably charge me anyway for 2 hours minimum, once it's folded on top of the trailer like this, we just disconnect the pins and the guy will lift it, put it on the ground, and put the smaller one like this. I put the pins in and then we flip it, and this way I will have 137-inch neck, which works great with loads like this, you know. So it prevents overloading the truck and pushes more weight on the trailer. So that's what's happening. So yeah, tomorrow it's the rehooking day, right? We're gonna be playing with all these axles, and then tomorrow after we're done, I'm gonna drive over to the shop and load these tires. Load the tires. So I'll do another video tomorrow. But for now, yeah, so 2 loads in the books, on the books. So money will be coming in. So everything is good. So have a good weekend, boys and girls. The weather looks to be, well, wait a second. We had blue sky in the morning. Now we have that nasty sky, like it's gonna rain. So I don't know, but at least it's warm. The winter is gone. Ciao.